welcome to another Dawn and Julia Create, where Dawn has challenged us to use paper scraps and turn them into mosaics. I decided that as mosaics tend to have grout between them, the best way to make that stand out would be to work on a black page. So the first thing that I did was just to black out a page in my journal using some black gesso. So I did that first, then got out some papers. I am using scraps from the Sherbet Fizz collection and just set about making tiny paper tiles. Quite therapeutic actually. I have to say I did chop way more than I need, so this process did honestly take up the tiniest amount of paper scraps, so a great way to use up those little bits that you genuinely don't know what to do with. Now I decided to use one of my new stamps, so this is Strawberry Fields, and I stamped it out in white. I don't particularly want the outline, that is just there as a guideline, and I just started putting these little paper pieces in place. Now it's interesting, my great grandfather, he used to take like broken jars and broken, just any pottery that got broken, and he would break it further and then make these little pots out of jam jars. He would put cement round them and add all of these little bits of broken pottery. I have to see if I can find it. I'll not find it in time to add to this video, but I'm going to my mum's this weekend, and I'm sure she's got one of the pots. So if I find it, I will take a photograph and pop it up in the community tab at some point. But as I was doing that, it was just making me think about, oh, I'm really going back to my roots. I mean, okay, it's not with pottery, but my great-grandfather used to enjoy playing with mosaics. So that is a little fun fact. So I quickly realised that, you know, you've got to say goodbye to detail, which is really hard for me because I love details and I love picking out the details and having things intricate. So having to kind of go so things look pixelated just really went against the grain for me. So I popped in the yellow bits for the seeds and then sort of built around it. I also realised that although that I had the stamp down there, that was, as I said, more of a guide, and I followed the basic shape. So all the little twiddly bits like the extra strawberry, the window ledge, the flowers, all of those disappeared. I just kept to the basic shapes, and I kind of built up this system of putting a little bit of glue down over an area and then gradually sort of putting in the little paper pieces that I had. This took ages. It's all lovely watching it sped up. I think I kind of took a note as I was doing it, and I think it probably took me over an hour to get all of these little paper pieces into their place. So it is very therapeutic. It's one of those things that once you sort of start doing it, you kind of get into the zone of just moving it over. So it's a very good sort of practice for mindfulness type things. It is something I would maybe try again. I feel like this was a very steep learning curve, something that I would never ever have done if the lovely Dawn hadn't challenged us. I can't say it's something that I'm going to be doing regularly, but I did enjoy doing it. Now, I have landed myself on the naughty step. Sorry, Dawn. Dawn didn't say what to do with the mosaics. But once I'd finished it, I wasn't loving it. I really wasn't loving it. So I felt like I had to do something to make this a page in my journal that I liked. Now, having already spent over an hour building up the little strawberry, I didn't really want to build up a whole page using just mosaics. So the mosaics is a feature. I have done mosaics, Dawn. I just didn't fully do mosaics. So I tried to build this into a little scene, again using the same scraps for the paper pad. I tried to ground it using some of those wiggly stripes. I drew some clouds on a spare bit of paper and got those and tried my best to build up a little bit of a scene. Once I started doing that, I gradually felt more and more confident and felt like I had a direction. I kind of went from really not liking it. I stuck with the mosaics here though, look. See, Dawn, there's little square raindrops. They're really not a thing in real life. So, you know, I was going with it. If you want to see how this is properly done, I would suggest you go and watch Dawn, because she clearly knows what she's doing because she challenged us. I then sort of, again, tried to build up the scene. I've used a green gel pen just to, again, start sort of ground it, add a little bit of grass and a doodly border. I then realised in my gran and granddad's house, they had a stained glass window. The house they stayed in their street was the one that the architect of the street built for himself first, and then he built the whole street around it. So their house had a stained glass window. So in the stained glass window, you have the lead work. And I really felt that I had lost the precision of the image. I couldn't see what it was, and it really bothered me. So I thought if I went into the style of a stained glass window, which is technically a glass mosaic, then I could lean into that and still kind of stick to the brief. Do you agree, Dawn? Kind of sticking to the brief. And so I outlined my image using this Ranger enamel liquid. And I feel like this, once I'd done this, I kind of went from, I'm really not sure, to actually, I quite like this. I feel like I've challenged myself. I've tried something new. It's different. Yeah, and I feel a bit more happy with the results. And once I got to this stage, I'd maybe be willing to try it again. There was a really awkward edit of the papers, so there was a cut line, so I hid that with some sentiments, but that's me done. Please do go and check out what the lovely Dawn has created, and I will see you very soon.